Introducing the all-new Pitzmann 2. And unlike the first Pitzmann, which leaned towards the dressier side, this time they went in the opposite direction with a stainless steel sports watch that can do it all. And this is what I love to see, brands getting better with each new iteration. This watch looks and feels like a significant step up from the very first Pitzmann. Not only does it feel better in the hand, but the Pitzmann 2, at least for me, better incorporates the Korean identity. It has a unique look without trying too hard or looking overdone, which is a pretty difficult task. It's not easy, and it gives this watch a little bit of an X factor. The Pitzmann 2's case was inspired by the iconic cycloid-shaped roofing tiles found in traditional Korean architecture. They are called giwa. It is said that these curvaceous tiles have a calming nature, and that's pretty much the theme carried out throughout this watch. For instance, the bezel. It might look like your standard round domed bezel, but in reality it's concave, just like those iconic rooftops. It's unique, I've never seen this before, but once again, it is so subtle, it is easily missed. And there's even more examples of this. The side of the case looks flat, but it isn't. The case sides tapers at a 25-degree angle, kind of like a stadium seating. It's very cool, and it really gives the watch a complete vibe. Now let's just keep going here. The case has a chamfer that runs along the entire mid-case. And of course, on top of those lugs, but the chamfer doesn't even look like a chamfer. It is so subtle, it almost looks like just a high-polished highlight. So Pitzmann, well done on the case. Now let's take a look at the dimensions. I got 40 millimeters in diameter and a secret measurement of 33 millimeters. This watch has an impressive 10.8 millimeters of thinness, even with its subtle single-domed sapphire. And we got no drilled lugs and a lug-to-lug of 46 even. Okay, so I'd say it wears like a large 40 millimeter on the wrist. But you can take a look at the wrist shots throughout the video and judge for yourself on how it wears. Now, let's talk about the bracelet. Just like everything else on this watch, at first glance, it may look typical. And in this case, a typical oyster-style design. But a closer inspection reveals something interesting. The center links feature extreme bevels that are high polish. I assume it's doing the rooftop thing again, which gives the links a separated and spread out look, especially when viewed from an angle. So that's a cool visual. And the size is 20 millimeters tapering down to 18. There is a fully milled clasp, but there is no micro adjustments. However, you do get 2 half links to dial in the size. The bracelet is fixed via screws and the whole thing is solid. Okay, so now let's take a look inside the watch. Right off the bat, you see an extremely dark navy blue dial, and it has a matte finish. The inner sector has a granular texture, while the outer section is raised and features circular grooves. So there's a ton of dimension in the dial, but it doesn't stop there. The real star of the show are those indices. I have never seen a cutout or taper like this before. Each indice has a beautifully scooped taper at the tips that play with the light in an elegant way. The hands are also pretty impressive. They've got bold, pronounced bevels along the sides and tip, but behind the pinion, the bevel subtly tapers away and disappears. That is a clever design detail, and I absolutely love it. Both the hands and the indices are filled with super luminova, and they do appear white in the daylight and glow green in the dark. Oh guys, and I forgot to mention, it has a signed screw-down crown, and it helps give the Pitzmann 2 a very capable 150 meters of water resistance. And one of my favorite features in any watch is when it sits low and flush to the wrist, and the Pitzmann 2 nails it. And that's even with the sapphire display caseback, which usually adds about 1 millimeter in height. Now when we take a look through that sapphire, we are greeted with a custom engraved rotor and blued screws on the high-grade Swiss movement. This isn't your typical 28-24. this is a cut above. Powering the Pitzmann 2 is none other than the SW300. It's got the improved, updated 56 hours of power reserve, and it has 25 joules, and of course it does hack and hand wind. These movements are naturally born chronometers. While it's not certified, you should get excellent performance. Okay, so has the watch piqued your interest? If so, you're probably wondering, what's the price? Well, the Pitzmann 2 is not cheap. It comes in at $12.99 USD. That's a good chunk of change, but you are getting a high-grade Swiss movement, sapphire crystal, capable water resistance, and a pretty unique design. But I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. And while you are down there, hit the subscribe button, please. And I will see you in the next one.